Hey, what is going on, everybody? Hopefully, you're having a great Friday so far. It is another episode of the MillenniYell. It's Billy right now. Mel will be jumping on here in a few minutes. She's running a little bit behind, but hey, right, that happens from time to time. But anyways, guys, I am, and we are so excited because we have another special guest, and we'll get to that here in a second. But if you are watching on the live, guys, make sure you comment who you are, where you're coming in from. I'd love to give you guys a shout out. Also, guys, if you have questions, comments, right, you want to ask the guest a special question, right, make sure you do that. We can pop that up, and so we can answer it live on air for you. But guys, like I said, we're live every Friday at 2:00. So thank you for showing up and participating today. But, like I said, we have a very special guest on today, really good friend of mine, somebody I looked up into the business world, is doing a lot of really cool things. He runs a marketing company. He also is the creator of the Battlefield Mastermind group that I'm a part of. And I just love that group for one thing, is just being, and if you guys follow me from time to time, right, I'm really big on surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Right. You are the sum of the people you surround yourself with. And so there's some really, dynamic people in that group. And so that's awesome. He's part of many other businesses. We'll definitely get into that. But his name is Matthew. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring on my friend, Matthew Roda. What is going on, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Super good. Thanks for having me. I don't know if I'm deserving of that introduction, but I appreciate it.
No. Like I said, I meant every word. Definitely, you're somebody that I always follow, look up to, especially in business. And, you always got to have mentors, right? Even though they might not be like directly mentoring you, but you always have those people that you kind of, connect with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that said, right, maybe some of our viewers don't know who you are, never have met you, never seen some of your stuff. So just tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. For anyone who hasn't met me before, awesome to meet you. So I always say I'm a husband first and foremost to my beautiful wife, Helen. We've been married for 5.5 years. Met on a blind date, got engaged within 3 months. Just knew she was the one right away. So that was a blessing in my life. The father of now 4 beautiful children. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, Caroline, a 2-year-old daughter, Amelia, a 6-week-old daughter, Lily, and a 6-week-old son, Miles. We had twins about a month and a half ago. So life is extremely busy right now, chaotic. But I wouldn't, I talk to people all the time on, they're like, how's life? And I'm like, I don't know how to put this. Like, it's beautifully chaotic. Like, I love everything about it right now, but it's so much chaos. It's impossible to like get anything done the way I usually get stuff done. So, like Billy said, business owner. My brother and I are the owners, operators of Roda Marketing. We've been doing that since 2010. It's a digital marketing agency, full service. Co-owner of a patriotic brand called Signer 57. Fortunate enough to get in that business a couple months ago. A friend of mine launched it. I just reached out to him. I was like, I love it. Can I be part of it? He was like, yep, you bring some cool stuff to the table. Let's do it. Founder of Battlefield Mastermind, as Billy mentioned. It's a huge passion of mine for the reason pretty much that Billy mentioned. Like, I love surrounding myself with other winners, other people who want to win, other people who want to help people win, and who are just out there to achieve personal excellence. So that's a big passion of mine. And then I do have a client for kind of personal fitness, nutrition, mindset coaching. Battlefield coaching is something else I started, I guess, probably like 6-7 months ago, and I got a client. I don't really push it all that much. It's more like one-on-one coaching, and I just don't have a ton of bandwidth to do that for too many people right now. So I haven't talked about it much, but that's something else in my arsenal as well.
Wow. That is crazy. Yeah. I mean, when I first met you, I think it was just kind of the marketing, right? It wasn't all, and then as the year went on, like it was like boom, 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 adding so much more stuff. I just remember our first conversation. I think at that point we had been following each other for a while, right? We kind of were like, but no one. And then all of a sudden, like I think we both just kind of reached out to each other and were like, hey, let's set up a time.
Yeah.
Right. And so that kind of sparked this relationship. And so I'm really appreciative of that. I think Mel is actually here, right? Are you ready to come on, Mel? Let me pop you on. Can you hear us?
Hi.
Yeah, hey. So Mel, welcome to the
Hi.
show.
Welcome to the show. I was in the background. I could hear. I'm very excited for today. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Matt.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So he was just telling us a little bit about all his businesses. You were here in marketing, stuff like that,
Mhm.
right? He's and so I guess my first question, right, is what did you do before you started the marketing? Like what was that life beforehand?
Yeah, so I went to Westchester University, graduated with a criminal law degree. My plan was to be an attorney. It was like 2 weeks before graduation, and I was like, nope, not happening. Don't feel like doing it. So I ended up packing my bags and driving across the country to San Diego. And I moved in with my buddy who was going to San Diego State University out there. So I ended up living in San Diego for 5 years. Worked at a student loan company, just kind of like your average corporate job, just to pay the bills. Did that for 5 years, got laid off that job because they were bought out by another company, got 2 months severance, and ended up answering an ad on Craigslist for a guy who was looking for someone to help with writing for his internet marketing company out in San Diego. And writing has always been a passion of mine. So I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I'll just be a freelancer. I'll own my own business. And, kind of went that route. And really one thing led to another. I became his writer, and then he was a small company. So I ended up doing sales for him, project management, and just kind of learned all about entrepreneurship in that role with him. And it kind of sparked the fire. It was just like, okay, I don't ever want to do anything besides work for myself and have my own thing where I control my destiny. Cause it was shock. It was a big time shock. We literally, I showed up every day at that job, did my job well, collect my paycheck, great employee, and literally went in one day, got an email, and it was like, everybody meet us in the boardroom. And they're like, everybody's gone. And it was just like, wait, what? Like, you could do that? And so literally that day, I was like, I'm never going back to corporate America, because that's just not right. Like, I don't want to put my fate in someone else's hands and let them dictate my future like that. So I took a couple weeks off, answered that Craigslist ad, and figured out, I think that was probably 2006, 7-ish, that I'm going to do something on my own. And I was a freelancer for a bunch of years, and then ended up calling my brother when I wanted to move back east and said, hey, if I start a company, a marketing company, SEO at the time, you want to start it with me? And he was like, yeah, then I don't have to get a job, because he was graduating college. So the rest is history, man.
That is crazy. Mel and I guess that's the right way to say it. The correct grammar way. I'm not a grammar type of person.
I'm not going to call you out on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I appreciate that. My wife would. She would definitely.
So would mine.
Like, if I post something online, she's like, immediately sends me a text message. She goes, you screwed up that word. I'm like, dang it.
Yep.
It's crazy, because Mel and I have this pretty much the same journey. Like, I know I was laid off too from my job before I got, doing what I'm doing full time. And like you, I kind of have that same feeling. Like, I never want anyone to have, like, I always said the same, like, if I'm going to fail in life, it's going to be because of me. It's
exactly
not going to be because of somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
What about you, Mel?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I started my business in college in 2006, and I was trying to get that up and going, but I didn't have the business sense. I still don't, but I've learned, I've kind of gotten here, I said, by luck, in a sense, not really, but I was, an artist, a graphic design creative. And I just said, I want to have my own business, because my parents had their own business, and I didn't want to work for anybody. And I didn't, actually love the idea of working for an ad agency or a graphic design firm, doing a lot of different things. I really had wanted to focus on one thing. And so when I started my business, and in my 20s, I still had part-time jobs here and there. So I never really went full-time until my late 20s. And, it's really hard. It still is. And it gets lonely and I think I went through a divorce, and then I needed more income. So I kind of ventured back into the idea of, you know, what it's been a long, like 5-6 year kind of journey. And I did want to explore something else, maybe outside of my business and or, you know, graphic design. And I'm doing that, but I just had like a weird epiphany. I had been trying to do this online store for 5 or 6 years, actually probably more. And I did really well on Etsy, which is a shop, you know, if you know, it's Etsy, it's like a shopping platform. And I did really well on that. And why I didn't just stick with it. And even my ex-husband said, you know, stop what you're doing and put everything on Etsy. I did like $3,000 in Kentucky Derby invitations in like a month. And he said, just stop and do that. And for some odd reason, you know, looking back, I don't know why, you know, I've really been thinking about a lot of the things that have transpired over the last so many years and the decisions that I've made and why, and what I was like wanting or running from or chasing or all the, it's just kind of weird. But I thought that I wanted an online store and I needed it to be on my website. And I have been fighting this for years. And since I've met Billy for a couple years now, and everyone that knows me, and they're like, so what's up with your website? What's up with your online store? Like, what are you doing? Even my family, like, so what's up? And it's overwhelming. And I even paid someone to redo it. And then I just couldn't do it myself. And I just last week said, wait a second, why don't I just do my Etsy store? Like, I'm doing other stuff on the side, and I just wanted this residual income from my online store to basically be making me money overnight. I have 10,000 plus invitations. So this thought of getting it up and getting it going and making the income after, but I couldn't sit down and actually do it myself because I wasn't getting a check, because that's what I was so used to my whole life of being an entrepreneur. It's like, and a designer, freelance or whatever. It's like, you do the work, you get a check, you do the work, you get a check, or you get a check and you do the work and whatever. But the website, the concept of sitting down and actually spending hours and hours and hours and hours and investing in that, I just couldn't do it. And I, you know, I've done it now with my life and fitness and health and food, and I'm learning to golf, and I've been more disciplined now. But I think for some reason, I just said, wait a second, I did really well on Etsy. I have a good, like, inside my body, I feel really good about that success. And I have a really hatred for this website, online store on my website. So why don't I just go back to what was going well for me and making me money? And overnight, I was like, what the hell? I talked to my parents the other day. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? I'm thinking this, like, for how many years I've been, you know, struggling with this. And I went on, I like reactivated my store. I still have all the stuff that was, and I mean, I just need to add thousands more, but it's super easy. And I had a really great, it doesn't seem intimidating to me like the other, but overnight I literally linked. It's so easy now with Wix and Etsy. So so when you go to the online store, it says shop from the Etsy, and it just goes right there. So I don't have to do anything at all on the website. And it's a long story, but I'm like, it's gotten me here. I just spent the last 5 or 6 years of my life, like, what was I thinking? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's wild.
Easy to overcomplicate stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah.
100%. And that, you know, just in her talking, like it like something came into my mind, but like, I think a lot of people don't understand, like, they think as entrepreneurs, like, all we do is sit around all day doing nothing, like, and just, you know, and I thought, and you start talking about, like, you know, getting that constant check, right? That constant, like, salary, right? That we all think is secure and stuff like that. But as Matthew and I have experienced, right, that could be gone in a heartbeat. So I guess, like, one of the questions I kind of had written down for you was, why? Because you were doing, like, copyright and stuff like that, right? Like, you were writing and stuff like that. So why, like, what was the decision for, like, full on marketing, like a marketing company?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess kind of twofold. One, I was reading all the books and like, oh, I want to build a company and I want to create a culture, and that sounds fun. And then two, when I learned what SEO was in 2005 or 6, whatever, when I was first introduced to search engine optimization, I was like, this is like voodoo magic. Like, it was like blew my mind that you could do stuff to a website and make it show up on Google, like when people search for something. So I was like, holy shit, like that's phenomenal. And then when I called my brother and I talked to some business owners back east, no one even like heard of it way back then. Like it was on the West Coast and it was more talked about than it was on the East Coast initially. So I was like, if I go back east, like I can introduce this business strategy and like help businesses grow. One of our first clients was the Eden Resort. And I was like, you know, if you go to Google and type in hotels in Lancaster, PA, like you're not on the first page and I can get you on the first page. And they were like, okay, like how do you do that? And I was like, hire us and we'll do it. So we did that for them. And then it just kind of turned into like a snowball effect where they referred us to some people and it just grew from there. I think I've always had some kind of entrepreneurial bug. Like no one in our family ever owned a business. Like both my parents were hardworking, 9 to 5, you know, corporate / like they worked for the other people. So they never had their own businesses. So I never really knew what business ownership looked like. But once I was introduced to this guy who hired me to do his writing and I saw like, it was just really cool. Like he would get a new client. I'd be like, holy crap, you just made an extra $1,000 a month. And then like 2 days later, we get another client. I'm like, holy crap, you just made another $1,000 a month. I'm like, this dude can make like $20,000 a month, you know, within a couple of years because he's just getting clients. Like I want to be able to get clients and like not cap myself, you know, as everyone knows, like in the corporate world, you get a salary and then you might get a raise every year. And it's like nominal. Usually it's not anything like drastic, but when you own your business, it's like day by day by day, you can increase your revenue and the ability to earn more is unlimited if you are good at what you do and you take care of your clients and you provide a great service. So that was kind of like the aha moment for me was, okay, I can do this because I'm watching this guy do it on the West Coast. I can do this on the East Coast. And if we do it well, we can make a lot of money doing this. And why not?
Mm-hmm. No, that's one of the reasons, like I remember fully stepping into this, you know, full time, what I do now in financial advising. And I remember like having conversations with Megan and just being like, you know, it's going to be rough for the first couple of months just because there is not that steady income. Right. But like you said, and I think that, you know, Mel can probably expound on this too, on her perspective, but like you said, the ability to make like 10 grand in a month, right? Or 20 grand in a month or 30 grand in a month, right? You will never have that opportunity if you're working for corporate America. Not to say that there are, you know, entrepreneurship and owning your own business is for everybody, because it's not.
Agreed.
It's definitely not. That's why like half the businesses like
a ton of them fail. Yeah.
Fail, you know? And then there's business owners that own successful businesses that have tried other businesses that have failed. So it's not like, yeah, okay, I succeeded at one business, right? And I would have succeeded at every business. No, it's not like that. And so, but I think you hit something right there that was just really important for people to understand is like, you're very limited when you work for somebody else.
Yep.
So, but with that said, I always like to ask, because for someone that's as disciplined as you and stuff like that, and we've all gone through adversity in our life, right? No one's definitely, you know, immune to that. So what for people, you know, because Mel and I have talked about the adversity that we have run into in the business world on this podcast. What are some adversities or setbacks in your business that you remember? And then like, how did you overcome that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if my brother's watching this, he'll laugh when he hears me say this. He's my business partner. He's 3 years younger than me. The first couple years of us being in business together, and you'll hear a lot of business advisors are like, don't go into business with family. And like, it's good advice. Like, I don't like, I wouldn't promote that, but we made it work. But the first couple of years they were a challenge. Like, we have different skill sets. We bring different, you know, things to the table. We have different vision for the future and how we get there. So there was a lot of like banging heads for the first couple of years. And I remember there were multiple occasions where I was like, listen, dude, like, if you want to play this game, like, I'll start my own business. You have this one and let's see who wins. And it was competitive. And like, that's how we're both wired. And I don't think we ever would have pulled the trigger on separating, but like it got so heated that at moments I was like, I'll do this without you. Like, I don't need you. I'll start we had like 3 clients. I was like, I'll go out and get 6 clients tomorrow. You can have these 3. Like, let's see who wins this game. So it got kind of heated for a while. And then I remember asking my business mentor at the time, his name's Andre. And I was just like, here's what I'm experiencing. What do I do? And he was like, well, you got to here's the question to ask yourself. Why did you go into business with your brother? Was it to have everything done your way, or was it to experience going into business with family and help him succeed in life? And the second he asked that question, I was like, okay, like, you're right. Like, I know exactly what it was. It's because I wanted to experience this with him. I wanted to share my success with him and have him succeed in life. That was way more important to me than getting my way. So that was like 2 or 3 years into it, but it was kind of like an immediate, like, okay, Matt, like, put your ego aside. Like, you don't have to always be right. Everything doesn't have to be your way. Compromise and find the middle ground and make this work, because that's why you started this with him in the first place. So that was probably in the early years, the biggest one. And then even with COVID, every year we've grown pretty consistently, like 20, 25, 22% year over year. So we've always experienced growth. When COVID hit, we had a partnership with a guy who was buying dental practices. And he would just buy a dental practice and then he would give it to us to do marketing for. He'd buy another practice, he'd give it to us. So it was like a cash cow. Like, we didn't have to get these clients. They were just being fed to us. And we ended up having about, I think it was like $10 or $11 or $12,000 a month in revenue from this guy, just sending us business and giving us clients. And COVID happened, dental offices shut down a little bit. And then he was approached by some, outside the country firm that was able to do it for like half the cost that we were doing it. So he ended up pulling the plug on us and giving it to this. So that was a major hit to us, because that was, at the time, $12,000 or whatever per month in revenue. That was just like disappeared. And it was a decent chunk of what we were making on a monthly basis. So there's been moments like that. And just even when you lose like one big client from time to time, where you sit back and you're like, as an entrepreneur, when you're you're creating your success, or, you're watching your success fade away, you're like, oh God, like, am I going to wake up tomorrow and get another email from a client and they're going to cancel? And then what if another client cancels, and then all of a sudden I can't pay my bills, and like my mortgage is due tomorrow and I can't, you get into this headspace where it's like one bad thing technically can lead to another, can lead to another, can lead to another. But you've really got to, and like, I'm pretty good at that, but in those moments, it's hard, is to just like step back, like reevaluate and trust the process. Like, I've always been, throughout my life, and I got into a lot of trouble in high school and college, but I've always just had the thought, like, trust the journey, trust the process. Everything will work out. I know my heart is good. I know my intentions are pure. Life will smile upon me, even if I'm getting smacked around and kicked in the teeth occasionally. I'll get through it. I'll get to the other side. So there's been moments like that where you just have to, like, kind of like pick yourself up, shake yourself a little bit, and be like, snap out of it. Like, it's not going to be bad after bad after bad. Like, everyone experiences some bad, but as long as you expect the good, good will find you again.
Yeah. 100%. Wow.
That's how I've had to do. That's kind of what I've had to do for a while, because I have one of my biggest corporate clients for stationery that I do, 8 to 10 events for them. And I had a scare in December. She retired, and I've been working with her for 10 years. And that's like one of my, when I know that I'm doing these jobs every month, and it's, a couple thousand each, and it's, and I've always said to myself, if I wake up and that's gone, what am I going to do? I can't just, and it's not, it's a lot, but at the same time, it's like, I think about it, and she retired in December, and I was really afraid going into this year that, what I was going to do. And luckily the new person that replaced her, I already knew, I worked with her before and had a great relationship. And I just, she kept me on, as the, client, but I was nervous for sure.
Yeah. No, I think my biggest problem, right, and it kind of goes along the lines, like, I don't know, like, I always fear about losing clients and stuff like that, but like you're saying, Matt, like, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're following up with your client, if you're giving value, like, you really shouldn't have to worry about that. I think my problem is like, whenever you, like, because there's like a caliber of client that you usually kind of deal with, right? But all of a sudden there's every once in a while you kind of get that unicorn, right?
Yep.
Client to come through, and it's just like the biggest client that you could possibly ever imagine, right? And I think the problem I have is because you don't have this in corporate America. You don't get excited. Like I never got excited about like a client coming through. It's just like, oh, well, here's the new client. I got to do my job, move on, right? But like when you're an entrepreneur and you get that client to come through, just the potential, like getting overhyped for that, like of thinking of everything that's going to come from this, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem I run into is like, and then you have that internal conversation like, all right, don't get overhyped because it might not happen.
Yep.
Do you ever deal with that?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yep. Yeah. I seek opportunity, and I say I'm an eternal optimist. So I always expect the best to happen. And then when something like any little sign of something great happens, I'm like, here we go. And I'm like, Matt, like, wait till it happens. Like you like, paint the best picture, but like until it happens, like live in the moment. Don't expect it to happen because it may not happen.
Yeah. Oh, I've had so many opportunities, even from one company that I've worked with that does a lot of things. And they, every 6 months they would come and say, oh, we have this and we're going to do this. And I'm like, this is great. I'm moving to Nashville because I'm going to be the designer for all of the clients, and nothing comes of it. So I had it happen a couple times where I just said, okay, this is kind of smoke and mirrors from this person, but I had to not get so, but it was also, I think what's funny going back to like, a lot has happened in the last week or two. We should do a follow-up, Billy, but I realized a lot of the things that were distractions for me that I was obviously distracting myself from, and it's my own fault. But that there have been a lot of things that, looking back, I just held myself back from, and that's kind of where I'm, figuring stuff out. But I almost went in. I almost just decided I don't want to do anything with my website at all and my online store. I mean, just 3 weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I don't want to fight this fight anymore with the website. And I'm just not passionate about it. And I'm not excited, and I wanted to sell it and, off my portfolio to somebody or partner with somebody that would, double, triple their portfolio, their store, a stationery store in Philly or somewhere. And I just was like, yeah, I think and I don't know what happened, but I just started thinking something came about the Etsy. It was actually a girl that had started an Etsy store. It just got me thinking, like, wait a second, I did really well on Etsy, and why have I been, and so it kind of shifted back to, I think, maybe I was, I don't know what happened, but I think it's just, I think the idea of not being intimidated anymore and just kind of going with something that's that it was comfortable and successful for me. I don't know.
No, I mean, we always, sometimes we're, and Matthew, you can definitely chime in on this, but I think sometimes we are we're our own worst enemy. Yeah. And in those situations, because we can only see, especially like and this will be a great play into the battlefield, right? This is a great kind of segue into this, but sometimes like we get so one-track mind that we don't see the other opportunities in front of us. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you're like, oh, I got to do this website, like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And like, it clouded you from the other things that were in your life. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. But I mean, I also think too, I just made it more difficult, and then things happen and you get sidetracked with, relationships or, health or your, family and things like that. And I just think I got really like off course, and that's the difficulty, I think, when you're by yourself and an entrepreneur, and like, you don't have, I mean, I talk about it with other entrepreneurs and stuff, but I think I just got really, really, really off track. And I just think I had to get through a lot of things personally and get back on the path that I need to be on, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I think that's a great kind of segue to talk about the group, the battlefield, right? I think a lot of why you can obviously, you're obviously going to tell us why you created it, right? You kind of hinted it at the beginning, but like from my standpoint, it's perfect for what Melissa was just talking about, what she was saying, like, hey, like as entrepreneurs, we can feel like we have like, yes, I have my wife, right? And she's there and she supports me, but she knows what's going on in the business, but it's different, right? Like my experience versus what she's experiencing is a different experience, right? Because like she's at work right now and like I'm by myself for 8 hours, right? At least. And so let's talk about that for a second. It could get really, and we'll segue into the battlefield, but it can get really lonely being an entrepreneur. So talk about, Matt, I'll throw that to you first. Like talk about that, how you deal with that other than just the battlefield group.
Yeah, I mean, so I like solitude. So I'm kind of like, you won't catch me in like a big networking event running around talking to a million people. Like I'm an introvert at heart. Like I love doing this kind of stuff and connecting to people, and one-on-one conversations I thrive in and I love, but big group settings, I'm just never into it. So I like a lot of what entrepreneurship has in regards to that, because I feel like it's kind of like the lone wolf. Like it's, I'm out there hunting and it's me and it's my survival at hand. And like, I've got to do the work or like I won't survive, which means my family won't survive. So pressure's on, like, let's go do this. But yeah, I mean, I'm outside of the Battlefield Mastermind. I'm part of a group called RPP, Referrals Partner Plus. It's like a Tuesday morning get together. There's 25 people in the group, one person per industry, referral back and forth. So and then I just, over the years, I've gotten to be friends with a lot of business owners. So that's kind of my biggest safety net in terms of like avoiding that loneliness feeling. Is I know a lot of people who are in the same boat as me, and I know we all share the same struggles. And I'm also part of a group called Apex, which is, nationwide. And they have a Facebook page, and we just share wins with each other constantly, and losses and struggles and all that stuff. So I've done a good job over the years, kind of embedding myself around other people and with other people who are experiencing similar stuff as me. But on a day-to-day basis, it can get lonely. I mean, even just the other night, I was upstairs working and my wife said something and I was like, you just don't get it. And like, I wasn't trying to be a prick about it, but I was just like, you don't get it. Cause you don't understand what that pressure is like. Like it's a lot of pressure. Like, yes, it's fun to have unlimited earning potential, but it's also pressure that you could lose it all like that. And like, that's on you. Like that was my success I created, or that's my defeat that I created. So it can get, burdensome at times, but I like the pressure. Like I can't put it a better way than to say like, put me in, coach, I'm ready. Like I want to get on the floor. I want to play. I want to lead the team. And if that's just the team is myself, then I just want to lead myself.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. Like, I just think back of like going back to like, again, and I don't mean to like drum or beat this dead horse, corporate America, like working where I did. Like I remember obviously like when goals and stuff would be set, they would be set by somebody that was hundreds of miles away from me, didn't care whether I did the job or not. They find somebody else to do it. But there was never any like real pressure. The only pressure was like, well, if I don't do this, I don't keep my job. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I can always go get a new job. Right. But, with the pressure of being an entrepreneur, like you said, it is pressure, but like you can control that pressure. Like you can control how you release it, or you can control like how you deal with it. It's not like really, in the corporate world, it's like forced upon you. It's like, hey, like your boss is like, boom, like you need to do this, right? And you don't really have much of a choice. Whereas with us, right, we control how we deal with that pressure.
Yep.
Yeah, I say it like more of I guess it's like challenges, because I think that's funny is when you think about, having a slow month, and you're, oh gosh, this month is really slow, or like, this is, and then one month is, I'm not really into the highs and lows like of that. But I did have a conversation with another entrepreneur one time that he had like 3 stores, and it was like a really, really bad time. And he's like, there's something sick about some of like entrepreneurs are like on this high of like, okay, or you're low and you're like wondering in this, you're so busy and you can't get this done and you got to stay up all night and you're like, oh, and how am I going to do this? And then something comes through and you get this new client and it's like a high. It's like, and I was like, I feel that, but I do. Like, this was a couple years back and I was like, but it's hard, and it's like a struggle, but I look at it more as like challenges that I'm a problem solver too. And I think I like the idea of it not be, I would probably be bored. It's just like a stable thing. But then there's also stuff that's too much extreme of that.
Yeah.
Like, can we find a happy medium? But I don't know.
No, I think where I've like, cause I do like the predictable, like in that sense, like, but how I make my career predictable is I like the little things that I do every day. Like, that's how I make my day predictable. Like, I can't make the results predictable, right?
Yep.
But I know by doing certain tasks and doing certain things that those outcomes are more likely. And so that's the world. Like, so interjecting comfortability in my world, because I think it's not always the worst thing to have a little bit of comfort, right? Especially knowing what you're doing, being good at your job, like knowing how to get clients and all those types of things. But it is fun, like knowing like every day is a different day, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You never know what to really expect.
yeah, and those highs are great, those lows are terrible, but like, I think we're just addicted to it. Like, we're like,
it is. I said it's like it's sick.
Yeah.
It's like, I always say to myself, like, just make it one more day, right? Like, especially in those low times, like, just make it till tomorrow. And then you're like, all right, I made it till tomorrow. It's today, right? Let me make it one more day. And then that next day could be that big client, right? That big break.
Yeah. And
yeah. So let's talk about it, because I've already talked to Mel about it, and Mel, I already talked to Matthew about it, about talking about the group with you and stuff like that. So it'd just be great to have a conversation about Battlefield, because I love it. I love the group. I love everybody in there. It's what I love about the group is it's a wide range of people, like lots of different personalities, lots of different backgrounds. And you get to hear from different perspectives. So, tell us why you started the group, what's it about, and all that. Just go into it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, man. So yeah, the main reason I started the group was I wasn't totally pleased with other networking groups I'm part of. I feel like they are too focused on give me referrals.
I was in a LaTip group for nothing against LaTip, but I was in it for 7 years and I outgrew it. But I get it.
Yeah, it's just they're too one-dimensional, in my opinion. Like I don't get enough out of it on a personal level. Like, yes, I get referrals and it grows my business and I'm grateful for that. But to show up every week and just do that, it was kind of like, I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels here. So that's part of the reason I did it. I think the main reason I did it is I feel like one of my biggest purposes on this earth is to develop other leaders. I work on a daily basis on myself to create the best leader in myself that I can be. And I do that in a multitude of different ways, but I really do that in a different ways in hopes that I'm inspiring other people to see what I'm doing and adapt some of that into their life and become leaders, so then they can lead other people. And there's this big ripple effect that happens in the world. And we just create more and more leaders, because I feel like the world lacks leadership in a lot of ways. So really the group idea was like, okay, I know a lot of people, like I've connected to a lot of people over the last 10 years of being in business and just like, being friendly and kind of getting to know people. What if I created a group that, yes, there was like the referral part of it, like, like and trust the people in the group. So if I need someone who does this, hey, I know that guy, or I need someone that does that, hey, I know this girl is part of my group. Like, I expect business to get passed around inside our group at some point. That's one of like the offshoots of what I think we'll do. But beyond that, I just wanted to collectively like grab people together and put them in a group who want personal excellence in their lives with the intent of helping other people achieve personal excellence. And like, you know, the old saying, like, hang around with 5 winners, you're the 6th winner. Hang around with 5 losers, you're going to be the 6th loser. Like, the more we can create these little pods of success in our lives, the more likely we are to attract more success in our lives, because we're around people who are attracting success into their lives. So I really just created it to give people a platform, and by default, myself included, because I'm part of the group, to be around other people who want to win, and who want to win in business and in life, and then inspire other people through their actions to live the same life. I just want to create leaders, basically.
No, I'm reading a book called Don't Drop the Mic, but I would say drop the mic after that.
Like, yeah, boom. No, it's I can attest to it. Because what's awesome is we do Zoom calls. So it's not, you know, and we're going to do our first, you know, in-person meet, which is going to be amazing. But, you know, like it's not just like you said, it's just not a networking group. It's more of like a brother sisterhood, right? Yeah. Where we're all sharing wins. And like the last Zoom that we did, we talked about, you know, 2 things that really have impacted us, and everybody got to share. And so not only did you get to share and hopefully impact somebody else, but, you know, there were so many nuggets in there that, you know, I wrote down, and it was like, man, I didn't think about it like that, or that's just a cool little thing to think about. And so, but I'm a, what is it called? I call myself a self-development junkie.
Yes.
Right? If you look at my Facebook, you will not see a negative post on there, because the people that I have in my life do not speak negatively. And if they do, there's a great thing on Facebook. It's called the snooze button. If somebody decides they want to be negative for a little bit, I'll give them the first strike, right? You snooze for 30 days, and then if like you come back and you're still that way, you might be getting booted, right?
Lots of people have been booted.
Yeah. But so, I mean, like I said, I've already made a connection in that group. You know, I needed, I can't remember his name, the estate attorney.
Steve Miller.
Yep. Yeah. You know, I needed an estate attorney, right? And boom, there he was. I was like, hey, let's go grab some coffee sometime, right? Or something like that. So, it's just an amazing group. So Mel,
is this in the like oh no, you were recruiting me? What is this in the like Lidditz area? Is that where I mean, I know that's where Billy is. I know you said something about Westchester, but
so my goal with this is Central PA. So Lidditz definitely falls into that. I'm thinking like Lancaster, Lidditz, York, Harrisburg, kind of like that Central PA area. And the reason I kind of narrowed it into that, and not like, a couple of people have been like, this should be nationwide. Why limit yourself to Central PA? And I'm like, in some, like, maybe we'll grow to that point in the future. I don't know, of different chapters in different states. I don't know. I don't really intend for it to get to that point. If it did, cool. But the reason I want it to be local is because I want to be able to get people together in person, and I want to be able to get people together in person to hang out and have fun and grow with each other, but then get people together in person to have a positive impact on the community. And we haven't scheduled that yet, but one of the things I want to do every quarter in our group is do some kind of give back day where we get together as a group and donate our time and energy with some type of nonprofit or cleaning up a park or something like that. That's just been something that I've always wanted to do, and I've never been good at, like volunteering my time. I do it like once a year with my mom at this, you know, church thing that she does for Thanksgiving food drive, but I want to do more of that in my life. So I figured I could use this group, again, like selfishly, like use this group as an inspiration and as like a force for me to get myself to do something that I want to do. And then hopefully lock arms with people who are, you know, wired the same way and want to give back to the community. So it's Central PA because I wanted to have that close knit, impact your local community feel first and foremost.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's selfish. I mean, I wanted to learn to golf, and I wanted to get in a more professional community. And I said, hey, what's better than learning to golf, but like joining the club? I joined the country club because I said I want to be in the golf community. Like I want to be one of them. And I network. It's a great networking opportunity. But I go to the gym every morning. I started getting up at 5:30. I would never have ever thought I'd get up before like 7 o'clock. And I get up at 5:30. I go to it's right down the street, but I pay money, to go like a good amount. So I actually, there's a lot of reasons why we do things, but I think ultimately it's something that's fulfilling, what you want to do. But in the end, like you said, I mean, it's making an impact, and like it's with good intentions for other people too, so yeah, that's cool.
No,
I did go on the website. I did look at we were looking at it too.
No,
but-
I'm just waiting for the application to get submitted. Refresh.
Going to be like Jared Glant with Grant Cardone in front of 10,000 people on the virtual boot camp and say, "So you joined the accelerator program?" And then 5 people called me afterwards and pressure me to do that.
Yeah, no pressure.
It's a lot cheaper.
No pressure. No, but like I said, it was a much needed thing in my life, just because of everything that I've dealt with in the last 3 or 4 years. So like when that opportunity came up, it was just like a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, sign me up. Like I'm ready to rock and roll. And so, but like I said, it's not just like, hey, we meet, we talk, right? We share what each other does for business. It's like I said, it's hitting all the high notes for me. It's impacting my community. It's impacting other people. It's, building, myself as a leader, right? And growing and stuff like that. So, I really appreciate you for establishing the group. So it's been,
I mean, I'm not like, it's like weird sound. Like I got goosebumps. Yeah. And like, that's serious. Like, I've gotten a couple comments in the Facebook group and stuff where I read it and I'm like, it just like my heart smiles. And like, that's why I did it. Like, will I make money off of it someday? Probably a little bit, but like, we're sending out books every quarter. We donate 10% to charity every month. Like, it's not really about the money to me at all. Like I have that monthly fee so I can send out books and we can donate to charity. So we can do these monthly get-togethers and I can, cover the refreshments and the beer for people that like to drink, etc. But it's hearing someone like you say, like, it's what they needed in their life, or like it has a positive impact in their life, where I'm like, okay, like my purpose is being served on this earth. So I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
No. And I'm a very open person. I made a very personal post in there, and you shared it and stuff like that. And that was awesome because I really meant what I had said at the time. I was going through a really rough time, and both of you know that time that I'm talking about. You both know about that. So dealing with that, and then just hearing that, not everybody, but there's been a lot of people in the group that are experts in certain areas, and they give presentations on that. And it's not just like, oh, I'm giving a presentation on how this widget works in my business. It was like, it's real information about like how to deal with things, how to overcome things, how to build this part of your bit. Like, it's not like, what I'm saying? Like some of those meetings, networking meetings, like you give a presentation and it's great. It's really self-serving, like in a good way, like, hey, I'm promoting my business, but this is a different presentation. Right. And I think you did that intentionally.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
well, and I think also what I'm hearing too, I mean, I think it's that you feel that you're a part of a community, right? But it's what you're giving to it and then you're getting back. I think that some things that we do, we don't always get back the same that we put out. And it can be different, but I think it's one of my biggest things is like feeling alone. And like you said, I mean, it's really hard, even with spouses. I mean, it was a major contention for my divorce was like my business and things that I needed help. And it's hard, but I think that if you're around those like-minded people and you all want the same thing, you have the same goal, kind of same goals, kind of same, like level of where you want the quality to be and your quality people, quality business, quality, life, marriage, all of those things. I think it's really helpful to be around a lot of those, those people almost regularly, just listening to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to kind of end the show today. And like I said, we really appreciate it and everything like that. But before we let you go, there's one requirement to end the show. We didn't do a meme. So I don't know if you've watched the show. We do a millennial meme of the week. My niece said that, one time I was showing my wife a meme on my phone. She goes, and my niece is like 14, right? So she's Gen Zer, and she's like, oh, memes are so millennial. And I'm like, I love memes. Who doesn't love a good meme, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what sparked that, because I said in the group, Mel, I'm co-host of the MillenniYell. It's a show about fighting back against the millennial brand, that we're not all lazy and stuff like that. So, so it's our way to fight back. And there are shows that we yell about certain things. So we typically do a meme here at this point, but neither of us have a meme. Usually we don't have a meme when there's a guest on. But what we do, right? If that wasn't correct grammar. But anyways, the part of the show that we do complete, here we go, is Mel's moment. All right. And so Mel typically takes this moment to give a piece of advice, to take us into the weekend, to set us in a good mindset of some kind. But whenever we have a special guest, it's their opportunity to leave us with something, one nugget, one tip of advice for this weekend. So Matt, it's your moment.
All right, cool. And I have one I can come up with super easy here. Do something that pushes your limits. Get out of your comfort zone. Starting in 2 hours, so we're at 3 o'clock, starting in 2 hours at 5 p.m. today, I'm going to be running/walking a half-mile loop around my neighborhood for 24 hours straight till 5 p.m. tomorrow. It's to honor my dad, who passed away last August, right around this time. We did this last year. I got 67 miles in, so I'm going to see how many miles I can do. But I just feel like the more people stay inside their comfort zone, like we talked about at one point, comfort zones are great. Comfortability is good, but you've got to stretch often and stretch hard. So do something this weekend. If you're a runner and you normally run 2 miles, try to get 2.5 miles in. If you never do anything, try to walk a mile. If you haven't talked to a friend or family member in a while, but you're thinking about them, stretch and reach out and say hello. And I've been thinking about you, something like that. Just do something out of the ordinary that pushes you out of your comfort zone and make it a habit moving forward. And the more you do that, the greater value you'll have in your life.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
I went golfing last week for the first time, 9-hole scramble. I was on the course, Billy.
There you
nice.
go.
And I'm going today, by the way. I'm going again.
Well, I won't be starting in 2 hours like Matt will. I will be there tomorrow morning, and I will definitely run at least a mile, or I'll see where you're at that point.
I'll be walking.
but
I won't make that. But no. I'll walk around the block.
But no, like I said, it was an awesome show. I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate being here, man.
And like I said, I look forward to many more conversations and stuff like that. But guys, make sure you always check us out. Oh, before we jump off, tell them where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you if they need marketing needs. Anything.
Yeah. So marketing is rodamarketing.com. The mastermind we talked about is battlefieldmastermind.com. Our apparel brand that we talked about very early on is signer57.com.
Mel, you'll like that group. You should go check that out.
Yeah. And then just on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Matthew Roda, if you want to connect with me personally, and you can find all my stuff through those avenues.
Can you type it in the
Yeah. And don't go to the site now. We're relaunching.
Yes.
We got a photo shoot coming up, and
in the
we're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff coming up. But I'd say in October, Signer 57 is going to be a full-blown patriotic.
Well, Mel likes brand. Mel wears that brand, and I know we got to jump off here, but Mel likes that brand, or wears that brand. What's it called? Not something cheap.
Mine's not cheap.
Yeah. That.
I got their shirts too.
Yeah.
I got bullied, by the way, because of all the tag things. I got trolled on Instagram.
Yeah, people are idiots.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I have a friend that has a patriotic Etsy store. That's actually the one that just encouraged me to do mine back up. But But yeah, that's cool. I'm excited to check it out.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, anyways, guys, we appreciate everybody that jumped on, commented. Please make sure you check us out every Friday at 2:00. Another episode of MillenniYell. Guys, go have a great weekend. Make some great memories. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.